What if I told you, and I mean really told you, not in that polished, perfect, scripted way you usually hear online, but like genuinely that the reason you keep thinking about money, stressing about it, checking your balance, doing that little math in your head, isn't because you don't make enough. It's because you don't have breathing room. Yeah, I know, that sounds almost too simple, almost like that can't be it. But just stay with me for a minute. Seriously, because this is one of those things that seems small until it suddenly clicks. And once it clicks, you can't unsee it. Let me ask you something real quick, and don't rush the answer. If your income stopped today, like completely stopped, no salary, no clients, no business, nothing coming in, how long would you actually be okay? Not comfortable, not thriving, just okay. A month? Maybe two? If you stretch it, three. And if you're being completely honest, that number is probably lower than you'd like. And that right there, that's the pressure. That's the thing quietly sitting in the background of your life. It's not always loud, but it's always there. You feel it when you check your bank account. You feel it when something unexpected pops up. You feel it when you think about making a big decision, and especially when you think about taking a risk. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think the solution is income. They think, if I just make more money, this goes away. And yeah, making more helps. Of course it does. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You can make more and still feel the same pressure. Because I've seen it. People making really good money, still anxious, still checking accounts constantly, still feeling like one bad month would mess everything up. And then you've got other people making less, but somehow calmer, more stable, more in control. So what's the difference? It's not intelligence, it's not discipline, it's not even investing, it's having space. That's it. Because when you don't have space, everything feels urgent. Everything feels like it has to work out right now. You don't choose, you react. You react to bills, you react to problems, you react to pressure. And when you live like that, you don't make your best decisions. You make your fastest ones. And fast decisions, under pressure, are usually not the best ones. Now flip that for a second. Imagine waking up and knowing that even if something goes wrong, you're okay, not forever, but long enough. Long enough to breathe, long enough to think, long enough to not panic. That changes everything. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that, because once that pressure is gone, your entire mindset shifts. You stop rushing, you stop forcing things, you stop reacting to everything around you, and instead, you start choosing. Now let's talk about what actually creates that shift, a freedom fund. And yeah, I know, it sounds boring, it's not flashy, it's not exciting, it's literally just money sitting there, doing nothing. But that's exactly why it works, because it's not there to grow. It's there to protect you. It's there to give you space. And space is what changes everything. Because once you have space, you think differently, you act differently, you move differently, you start asking better questions. Not, can I afford this right now? But, is this actually a good decision? And that's a completely different level of thinking. Now, here's where most people mess this up. They skip this part. They go straight into investing. They want growth. They want returns. They want to feel like they're doing something productive. And that makes sense. Investing feels like progress. Saving feels slow. But here's the problem. If you don't have stability first, you won't stay consistent long enough for growth to matter. You'll panic. You'll pull money out. You'll switch strategies. You'll chase whatever looks better at the moment. And you'll keep resetting yourself again and again. Not because you're bad at investing, but because you're under pressure. And pressure changes behavior every time. So let's slow this down. What is a freedom fund? It's simple. It's money that exists for one reason, to make sure you're never desperate. That's it. Not for investing, not for spending, not for opportunities, just stability. And yeah, it's boring. But boring is where control comes from. And control is what most people are actually missing. Now let's talk about the number. Why 20,000? Because for most people, that's a few months of life. And a few months means time. Time to think, time to recover, time to adjust. And time gives you leverage. You're not forced into decisions anymore. You're choosing them. And that's a powerful place to be. Now, here's the interesting part. Once you build this, things start to change. Not dramatically at first, but noticeably. Your stress drops. You stop feeling that constant background pressure. Your thinking shifts. You stop thinking short term all the time. You start thinking, what actually makes sense here? Your behavior improves. You become more consistent, less reactive, less emotional. And that's where real progress happens, not in bursts of motivation, but in consistency. Now let's make this practical. How do you build it? Keep it simple. Start small. Stay consistent. Protect it. Don't touch it. That's it. No complexity, no overthinking, just repetition. And over time, it builds. And once it's there, everything else gets easier. Investing becomes easier because you're not afraid. Taking risks becomes easier because you have a cushion. Even your daily decisions improve because you're not constantly under pressure. And over time, that creates a gap, a real gap, between people who are reacting and people who are in control. And that gap, that's where wealth actually starts. Not in the market, not in some strategy. Right there. So let me ask you one more time. What number would actually make you feel safe? Not rich, not successful, just safe. Because whatever that number is, that's your starting point. Focus on that first, build that first, and everything else gets easier. And if this made you think a little differently, stick around. Because most people are chasing complicated answers, but real progress then comes from simple things, done consistently. And sometimes, it really is just about having space, around $20,000. That's where everything starts.